Let me start by addressing the age gap. I was in my 30s when I met my husband, and as I don't want kids of my own, or to be a parent, I liked that his kids were grown, and that he wouldn't want any more. I pursued him. We've been together 8 years. He has 2 kids from his first marriage that are roughly 35 and 40 years old. Occasionally they would ask for money here and there, and he always gave it to them. Sometimes it would be paid back, sometimes not. Personally, I believe that the way to help them is by saying no, so they can figure out their own finances, and have told him this on many occasions. But it's not my business to tell him how to parent his kids. Over the past couple of years, things have gotten out of control, particularly with the younger one. They have a baby now, so obviously expenses have risen. Asking for money is monthly and has clearly become the solution to money problems. Their mom also recently received an inheritance, so now they think she's a cash cow. She has confided that the younger kid owes her over $10,000. I have not totaled what we are owed. The asks are generally between $100 to $500 per month, and I'm sure that it's more than my husband lets on. Tonight he wanted to have them over for dinner, and to see the grandbaby, to talk about their finances and what they're going to do. New jobs, move to a cheaper part of town, figure out why they are asking for money every single month and what to do about it. This is too much parenting for me to be involved in, and I let my husband know that. I would make plans to be elsewhere so as not to be in the uncomfortable situation of acting as a parent to people who are practically my own age. He said that it was fine and that he would go by himself to the store. I asked him to wait for me and that I would go with him because there is no money in his account. He just gave them $150 each and we could use my card. Then he got upset and said, "You're not part of this." Which, yeah, I'm not going to parent your adult children, but I can supply the food for you to make them dinner. I grabbed my coat and was ready to go, and he was still upset and no longer wanted to have them over at all, and texted them to cancel and told them he didn't have enough money to make them dinner. Now he's complaining that he thought we were a team and that I can do whatever I wanted to do tonight. I haven't made plans yet because it all happened so fast. He's acting like I ruined his plans with his kids. I love my husband and we have a great relationship. We are a team. I just don't feel like I should be involved with parenting his kids. We're so close in age, it makes me extremely uncomfortable. It's not my place. I did not raise them, so I'm not sure why I should be expected to start doing so now. Am I the idiot? Update. Had the dinner, but decided to hold the talk for when mom can attend, so we are all together on what needs to happen. Talked it out with husband as to everyone's expectations and my involvement. Thanks to everyone who helped me look at this from all sides. Second edit. I appreciate everyone's opinions on both sides here. I convinced him to keep the dinner on schedule. As the day has progressed, he actually started to get more and more nervous about the talk. So I think those who said he wanted my support are spot on. I've decided to be here, but am still unsure of my place in the money conversation. This is what I'm uncomfortable with. Do I leave the room? Edited to add that I do not need my husband financially and have a good career in which I make plenty of money to support myself. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the a-hole. I just don't accept it that being in the house during such a meeting would have had much to do with parenting. Not on your part, not on your husband's. They are middle-aged people. Do you still parent them? I thought not. I have stepchildren in their 50s. I speak with them like with anybody else. When they were small, there was some parenting involved in our relationship, naturally, but not now. I think you could have helped your husband prepare a meal, and you could have been there to support him all round. I think the message would have been something to the tune of, "When are you going to stop mooching off me and your mother?" That could be hard enough to express, and he could have needed you there. Maybe not actually in the room, but still, you should not attempt to parent people your own age or older. Comment 2. Everyone sucks here. Wait. How does he have no money? You're right, it is weird to have you present during those discussions, since you're the same age. However, I'd be concerned that they may exploit him and probably want to be there as support. His kids need to be told no. They shouldn't be having children if they are loaning money from people all the time. Once or twice is fine. But it seems like it's weekly, monthly. Now for the update. Hey Reddit, back again with an update on the dinner situation with my husband's kids and the whole money talk. It's been a tense couple of weeks, and I've got to say, things took turns I didn't see coming. So after the last post, we did end up having the dinner. My mom couldn't make it, but we decided to go ahead without her. The talk was intense. My husband laid out all the financials, and it turns out the younger one owed us way more than I thought. We're talking thousands, not hundreds. My jaw hit the floor. I knew they borrowed money, but I had no idea it was this much. During the dinner, the older one, who's usually pretty quiet, suddenly dropped a bombshell. He's been keeping track of all the money his brothers borrowed and not paid back. He had this whole spreadsheet and everything. It was a shock to everyone, especially my husband, who had no idea his eldest was so on top of things. The younger one got defensive, and things got heated. Voices were raised, and I was just sitting there, wondering if I should step in or leave the room. But then, my husband, bless him, took control of the situation. He acknowledged that he'd been enabling the behavior by always giving in to the money requests. He apologized to his kids for not helping them learn to manage their finances better. Now, here's where it gets steamy. The younger one's partner, who had been quiet the whole time, suddenly spoke up. They revealed that they'd been secretly saving up a portion of the money my husband had been giving them to start a college fund for the baby. They didn't want to be in this cycle of debt forever, and were trying to break out of it. Everyone was stunned. It was a moment of realization that they were actually trying to make things better. After that revelation, the atmosphere changed. We all started talking about solutions instead of problems. The older one offered to help his brother with budgeting and financial planning. My husband promised to stop the handouts, but offered to match any money they saved as an incentive to encourage them. As for me, I was proud of how my husband handled everything. He thanked me for my support and acknowledged that I was right about setting boundaries. We agreed that any future financial help would come with strings attached, like financial counseling or proof of better money management. In the past 2 weeks, we've seen some real changes. The younger one has started a new job, and they're both taking budgeting seriously. My husband and I have been communicating better about our finances and expectations. It's like we're finally on the same page after all this time. And get this, the older one's spreadsheet skills? Turns out he's been doing some freelance accounting work on the side. He's offered to help us with our budgeting too, as a way to give back for all the help my husband has given him over the years. It's been a roller coaster, but I feel like we're coming out of it stronger as a family. My husband and I are closer than ever, and his kids are stepping up. I'm content knowing that we've set some healthy boundaries and that everyone is working towards a better financial future. Husband buys me fake Gucci bag as gift and I confront him. But later I find out he's been lying about his job and gambling. Since I met my husband, he has always gifted me expensive things. My husband has a job that pays him a good amount of money. Over the years, I would tell him that he doesn't have to keep buying me expensive gifts because we both have expenses, such as a mortgage and other bills. I also gift him expensive presents that I save up to buy him. A few weeks ago, we welcomed a beautiful baby boy. My husband, a few days ago before I had him, gave me a push gift. It was a huge Gucci bag, and inside was a Gucci tote bag. It was a very lovely bag. He said the reason why he got me that huge Gucci tote bag was because I would need a big bag to carry around so that I can put the baby's things inside when I travel with him. I gave my husband a huge hug, and I thanked him. The gift to me was too much, but he kept insisting that he appreciates me and is excited for this journey we will both experience, and that he saw how miserable I was mentally and emotionally during my pregnancy. The next day, while my husband was at work, I took the bag out of the box to place it on a shelf next to my other bags. As I held the bag, something felt off. I noticed that the material of the bag was different. The inside of the bag looked a little off, and the handles of the bag felt very bad quality, to the point where if I placed too many things in the bag, I'm sure it would tear. The bag also smelled different. It didn't smell like leather to me. I quickly went to the Gucci website and looked for the bag. The bag is on there, but as I compared both bags, I came to the conclusion that the bag was fake. I still tried to give him the benefit of doubt by looking for an older version, but everything still points to the bag being fake. I began to wonder why he would buy me a fake bag. He didn't have to get me anything expensive. I made that very clear to him many times. Later that night, when he came home, I asked him where did he buy the bag at. At first, he said the actual Gucci store. I kept asking him if he was sure a couple of times. He then told me no, it was eBay. He said he got it for a good deal. I quickly told him the bag was fake and that he should try and get his money back. He angrily said he was offended and that eBay authenticated the bag And how dare I call the bag fake? I showed him the pictures, and he just got even more mad and called me ungrateful. I even compared it to another Gucci bag that I have and showed him how the material is different. I also explained to him that if he paid a lot of money for the bag, thinking it was real, then he got scammed and should get a refund. He paused for a second and took the bag. He keeps calling me ungrateful. So, am I the idiot because I keep questioning if the bag is fake? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. The "you're the idiot" comments surprise me. Sounds like your biggest concern is that your husband got ripped off by buying a fake bag, and the bag you have seems to be very low quality, to the point it doesn't function really as a bag, since it would tear if you put too much stuff in it. I don't know why he was so offended. I mean, I'd be pissed off at eBay if I was him. He has a right to be angry, but I also believe he shouldn't be directing said anger towards you. Not the jerk. Comment 2. Not the jerk. I don't get these "you're the idiot" comments. Nobody should be ripped off and waste money on fake luxury brand items. You seem level-headed, and with a new baby, it's even more important to watch finances. It's unfortunate that your husband took this badly, but hopefully he will see you're just looking out for him. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, it's been 3 months since I last posted about the fake Gucci bag situation with my husband. You guys were really supportive, and I've got quite the update for you. So, after the whole confrontation, things got really tense at home. My husband was still calling me ungrateful, and I was feeling hurt and confused. I mean, we've always been open about our finances, and I couldn't understand why he'd lie about something like this. It wasn't like him at all. One day, I decided to do some digging. I remembered that my husband had been working late a lot before I had our baby. He said it was a big project at work, but now I was starting to wonder. I checked our bank statements, and there were some big withdrawals that didn't add up. When I asked him about it, he brushed it off, saying it was for a surprise he was planning for my first Mother's Day. But something still didn't feel right. Then, one evening, I got a call from a friend who works at the same company as my husband. She was hesitant at first, but eventually spilled the beans. Turns out, my husband had been laid off months ago. He'd been pretending to go to work every day because he was too ashamed to tell me. My heart sank. All the expensive gifts, the late nights, it was all a facade. I confronted him when he got home, and he broke down, admitting everything. He'd been gambling in an attempt to make money and keep up appearances. The Gucci bag? It was a desperate attempt to maintain the illusion that everything was fine. He'd bought it from a shady seller on eBay, hoping I wouldn't notice it was fake. I was devastated. Not just about the bag or the money, but that he didn't trust me enough to tell me what was going on. We had a long, hard talk about trust, honesty, and our finances. It was a rough patch, but we both knew we had to work through it for the sake of our family. In the following weeks, we started to rebuild. My husband got a new job, not as well paying as the last one, but it was a start. We cut back on expenses, sold some of the unnecessary luxury items he'd bought over the years, and started to get our finances back on track. As for the fake Gucci bag, I decided to use it as a diaper bag. It was a constant reminder of what we'd been through and how far we'd come. It was also a subtle nod to the fact that not everything that glitters is gold, and that's okay. But here's the kicker, the subtle justice you're probably waiting for. Remember the shady eBay seller? Well, I wasn't going to let that slide. I reported him, and after a lengthy investigation, it turned out he was part of a larger counterfeit ring. The authorities were able to shut it down, and many buyers, including us, got a partial refund. Dad dies, and I find out I'm the sole beneficiary of his house. Now my siblings and mom are demanding I share it with them. Boy, are they in for a surprise. Hello all, I'm a 50-year-old female. My brother is 48 and my sister is 53. Our parents got separated after 43 years. No one told me anything. They see me as a person non grata for living my own life. I called my daughter, who is 24, and she told me about the separation 4 months later. I reached out to Dad. He was happy to hear from me and told me that my siblings have cut him out of their lives. I eventually talked Dad into moving to where I was to be closer and so that I could help him out. I talked to Dad every day. We started going for rides together on weekends, riding motorcycles, having bonfires, cookouts, or just inviting him over for home-cooked meals. It was great. One day, Dad called to cancel our weekend ride, saying that he was not feeling good. I told him to go to the hospital, but he insisted he was fine. I tried to call him the next day, but he didn't answer. I drove out to check on him and discovered him on the floor. I went to the hospital every single day. My siblings and mother eventually showed up to visit him, but I stayed in the hall. After his time in the hospital and rehabilitation, he was sent to a skilled facility. After only 3 days, he started making comments about the staff there. About a week later, he asked me to get a camera to put in his room. 2 days after I installed the nanny cam, I caught them Blenth, harassing him horribly. I called the state and county and filed every report I could. I hired an attorney for Dad. After the attorney was hired, my siblings started to visit about every month. I thought the family was healing. We started doing things as a family. Dad got his justice and received a settlement. With the help of a realtor, I found him a small house and started working on it to bring him home. Dad's health was getting worse, so he entered hospice. I had the hospice case manager help develop a home plan. Dad's health started declining rapidly. Not long after, hospice said it would not be advisable to move him. I sat with Dad continually and hired sitters to stay with him when I had to leave. When Dad passed, I went home and cried. My dad was my best friend. I pulled out Dad's will and took it to the county courthouse to probate. I was told there was no need to probate it, that the will was my deed to Dad's house. Dad had filed a POD, payable on death, at the bank, listing me as the sole beneficiary. Our mother kept telling me it was not right, and that I needed to give my siblings equal shares of the money. She guilted me into sharing some of it. I gave each of them $15,000. But apparently, it was not enough. This was 4 years ago. Fast forward to August 23, 2023. I received a letter from an attorney demanding that I will the house to my siblings. If I didn't, they would sue me to compensate for the money I did not give them. I replied to the attorney and sent him the POD form from the bank, listing me as the sole beneficiary. I reminded him that he had a copy of the will and asked him to look it over again. He would see that my siblings had no claim on anything. I have yet to hear a response from their attorney. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Just tell your mother that if she wants to make things fair, she's welcome to will her own estate to just your siblings and leave you out, assuming you would be okay with that. Comment 2. Not the idiot. You did a lot for your dad and you deserve your inheritance. Please check with a lawyer to make sure your inheritance is safe from your mother and siblings. Now for the update. Hey everyone, back with an update on the family drama that's been unfolding over the past month. You might remember how my siblings and I were at odds after our dad's passing, and the whole inheritance mess. Well, things have taken some pretty unexpected turns since then. After I sent the POD form to my siblings' attorney, I thought that would be the end of it. But boy, was I wrong. My brother, who's always been the hot-headed one, showed up at my door unannounced. He was fuming, accusing me of stealing what he thought was rightfully his. We had a huge argument right there on my porch. Neighbours must have heard, because the next thing I knew, Mrs. Patterson from next door was peeking through her curtains. In the midst of our shouting match, my brother let slip something that left me reeling. He confessed that he and my sister had been planning to put Dad in a home long before I stepped in to care for him. They thought it would be easier to handle his estate that way. I couldn't believe it. All those years, they had been scheming behind my back while I was the one looking after Dad. But that wasn't even the worst part. A few days later, I got a call from my daughter. She was crying so hard, I could barely understand her. Through her sobs, she told me she had been seeing someone, my sister's son. They had kept it a secret because they knew the family wouldn't approve, especially with all the tension going on. But it had all come crashing down when she found out she was pregnant, and he bailed on her. My heart broke for her. She was alone and scared, and I felt like I had failed her by not being there when she needed me. I was still reeling from my daughter's news when my sister called. She had heard about the pregnancy and was furious. She blamed me, saying I should have kept a closer eye on my daughter. As if that wasn't enough, she also threatened to take me to court over the house, saying that the money I gave them wasn't enough to cover their emotional distress from Dad's passing. I spent the next few weeks in a daze. I was trying to support my daughter, dealing with my siblings, threats, and grieving Dad all at once. It felt like everything was falling apart. Then, out of the blue, my mother called. We hadn't spoken much since Dad's funeral, but she said she wanted to talk. She admitted that she had been wrong to pressure me into giving my siblings money, and that she regretted not standing up for me. It was a small comfort, but it meant a lot to hear her say that. Just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, my sister showed up at my house. She was in tears, apologizing for everything. She confessed that she had been dealing with her own grief and took it out on me. She also admitted that she knew about her son's relationship with my daughter and felt guilty for how it all turned out. We had a long, emotional conversation, and it seemed like we were finally making some progress in repairing our relationship. But then, as she was leaving, she dropped another bombshell. She told me that she had been diagnosed with a serious illness and didn't have long to live. I was stunned. After everything we'd been through, this was the last thing I expected to hear. So now, here I am, trying to navigate this mess of family drama. My daughter is preparing to be a single mom, my sister is facing a health battle, and my brother is still out there, probably plotting his next move. And through it all, I'm just trying to hold on to the memories of the good times Dad and I shared before everything went sideways. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.